Hello everyone and welcome to my Super Idol review. First, a few initial comparisons for a benchmark look at how all three idols fit together, and I'm also featuring the Marvel Max SE. Third arrow is my wheelhouse. This is where I start with everything and I move from there if necessary. The Super Idol is drilled the same as the other two, 75 by 4 7/8 by 55 in dual angle language, 4 7/8 by 5.5 by 3.5 pin buffer. I'd expected the Idol Pearl to be the weakest of the three, but it's remarkably similar in overall hook potential, though it's quicker on the back end, while the Super Idol is much closer to the shape and friction response of the Idol. The Super Idol was a pleasant surprise. I was expecting it to be much closer than it is to the Marvel Max SE because they are both a nano-based Pearl. The SE is much earlier, much chuggier, and a handful of boards stronger. I do like the Max SE, but I rarely get to throw it because it's either too strong or too smooth or both. The Super Idol, on the other hand, I think is going to get worn out quickly, and that's both a good and bad thing. I spent the last year ruining my IQ Tour, but the good news is that I can and did just order another one of those, but when the Super Idol is all used up, that's going to be a sad, sad day because I'm not going to be able to find another one, and if I do, it's going to be well over $300. I've also ruined my Marvel Pearl too, or it would have made an appearance here because the Super Idol is actually remarkably similar to it. Now, I noticed something crazy as I was editing these overlap shots, and I'm slowing it down here. The first overlap was the Idol Pearl and Super Idol, and I thought something was wrong initially because I couldn't see the Idol Pearl at all, so I fiddled with some settings until I realized it was just because the ball path was identical for 50 feet, so I had to lower the transparency on the Super Idol clip so you could even see the Idol Pearl. And this just stuns me because they do feel distinct and different, especially once transition happens, but on a fresh shot, just wow. The cover on the Idol Pearl is quicker on friction, so it doesn't like track burn, but it's better than the Super on carry down because the Super tends to be slower on friction. West Ridge is a bit higher friction, so ball reaction is usually smoother, while Gauge Center is sharper, so being that the Idol Pearl has a quicker response cover, you can see a slight difference off the end of the pattern, but once again they're stunningly similar for 50 feet on the fresh shot. Be sure to check out my extended in-depth review to see the differences on transition. The Trax cover from the Hypercell Fused and now Idol Pearl is starting to grow on me as the latter look quite a bit better today in filming than it has for me before. I walked away impressed with both, and the OG Idol just continues to reinforce how good it really is. The Super Idol, of course, is great as well. I'm a huge fan across the board, but here's the risk-reward of international releases. You can get some really great special edition stuff or some wish list core cover combos, but they're quite a bit more expensive, and legitimately more expensive. It's not like a discontinued and or rare ball whose price is based on demand. They're more expensive to procure for those who are selling them. Naturally, it's quite impossible to be in possession of a ball like the Super Idol and just let it sit in a box in the basement, especially because of how good it obviously is. It's even more of a shame now that this wasn't a stateside release. I think all we can hope for now is to get a nano-based hybrid Idol in the future, but this one is very highly recommended if you can get your hands on one, and if you want to pony up the cash, of course. If you are interested, contact Nick Brown on Facebook or at SRGBBFS International on Facebook. That stands for Storm Roto Grip Bowling Balls for Sale, or at srgbbfs@gmail.com. He deals in international stuff, so if there's anything else you're interested in, such as the IQ Tour Pearl remake, the IQ Tour GT, or Marvel Max Elite, he's your guy to talk to. This is one of the best looking and best reacting balls I've ever thrown, and I think that shows well through the camera without me rambling about it. That's my review. Thanks for watching.
Ah!